Hey everybody, welcome into another episode of Tommy Bell Art Sketchy and Funny. Today we got something completely different because the project I'm working on is called Dragon Tamer, and it's right here on the drawing table. The reason it's so different is the female that's featured in this is completely ambiguous, and she's not the major part of this drawing. It's a dragon head from mythology that is the main part. So what I want to do is show you today something a little different, which, it can be fun. And believe me, I put the FU in fun, so why not pull up here close to the camera and I'll show you how we do something completely different and work on a dragon head. So let's, come on. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Dragon Tamer. Now, I've obviously already gotten her done, but what I'm doing for a quick minute is erasing all these pencil lines around and through here because I want to work on the dragon's head today and see what kind of trouble we can get into. But you want to make sure that all of your graphite lines are gone. Super important, because you don't want graphite blending in with your color work. It'd be a nightmare. Alright. Okay. And what I want to work on first is the eye. So I got a couple of different colors here. Basically just a red, an orange, and a yellow. Throw a little white in there too. I'm going to leave the pupil out for a minute, and I'm going to start here on the outside with this red. Alright. And I'm just going to kind of make a outline like that. I do want to try to keep it so that I can blend this into an orange color, and if there's any part of the eye that's red, it's there. Try to make it kind of fiery like that. Okay. That didn't take very long. Now we're going in with the orange. And just about right in through here, right where the red stops, I'm just going to smash in just a little bit of this orange color. Not very much. Just a little bit. There we go. And then let's give it a quick brush. And then we're going to go in with our yellow and circular motions, and I'm kind of putting down an awful lot of pressure to blend these colors together. So I'm really kind of mean mugging it for a minute here. And we're going to blend this side. And I start at the cleanest and brightest area, and I'm always pushing outward if I can. That's what you want to do. But I don't want to destroy all the dark color that I put in there. It's a matter of finding that right area, that right mix. Alright. Now, we're not done yet. Still with the yellow. I'm going to go right behind. I'm making this up as I go, but I'm going right behind, because it's Fantasyland, and so you should. I'm going to go right behind that yellow. And why? Because I want there to be a little bit of a contrast. Now this is the red. I'm going in here right in the corner of his eye, the front of the eye. I'm going to do like this. I just want this little band of yellow there, and then back here, same thing. And I just want to leave the slightest little bit of that yellow in there, and This is what's cool about drawing like this, is I'm literally making it up as I go. So there's no wrong, I hope. There's no wrong way to do it. What am I doing right now is making little details in the iris of this dragon with the orange. Just little lines. Because, again, it's on a feeling. You know, you're creating a mythical creature. So, why not have a little fun with it? Now I'm going to go in with my black, and I'm going to do this center. I don't want to use a lot of black on this, but it's important that the eye pops. And I'm going to do like this. Now, not even all the way down, just enough to really make that stand out, that little area. And then right here in the corner, just for added dynamics, I'm going to blacken some of that. There we go. Just as I'm looking at it, I'm making little adjustments because it makes the eye look mean. And that's definitely what I'm looking for. I want it to have depth and character, and yeah, so I'm just going down here with that black too, but very lightly. And that's kind of making a neat little effect here. And you get to see it happen. Okay, I mean, I could spend a lot longer, maybe even on the eyes, because it is a focal point. You know, it's one of those things that even on a dragon drawing, haha, people will stare at. They're, you know, quick brush. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Okay, well, now, again, making this whole thing up as I go. I'm also using that same red color that I was just using in combination with a darker red and a lighter red. So, and I'm going to go into the skin area, and I'm going to try and make something happen here. So, I'm going to go with my darkest color first. And maybe we're going to start around the eye. And if you can see, there's a little, I have this teardrop here. That's going to be very important to want to keep. Now, there are many different creases to this dragon's eyelid that I kind of threw in there. But now, I mean, at first I was doing it and it was very random, and now I have to make it make sense. Because in the cracks of the eyelid and these little areas here, there's going to be shadows and stuff to make it make sense. And I got to do that, but I don't want to throw color on the teardrop, so I'm working around that for right now. Because I gotta start making sense out of some of these lines that I put in here. And without any photographic reference, I'm just making it up. I have to try and imagine where the light is gonna hit and where it's not, and some of that is on just going on your gut. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you can get some of the craziest and coolest things just because it looks right. You know, when you're dealing in the world of fantasy, there are and aren't rules, I guess. You know, I've done fantasy artwork for a long time, and I've always tried to incorporate it into making it my world. You know, yeah, oh wow, is he a fantasy artist? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I follow every rule. It's my rule. It's my world. And so if I want things to look a certain way, at least I'm justified in feeling that I don't have to explain it. Somebody asks, I'll just say, well, it felt right. But that's, I mean, and it sounds kind of stupid, but honestly, that's the way it should be. No matter what kind of entertainment or art that you're creating, and I've got so many creative, artistic friends out there that are doing their own thing. Like you gotta trust your gut. Make what you want to make. Do your thing. It's okay. What's the worst that can happen? I think the biggest thing is getting out there and doing it. At least you can say, I gave it a whirl. And you did. And you did it your way. And here we go. See, again, I'm totally... There's lots of reference out there for dragons, you know, and like when I was a wee lad, I did the Dungeons and Dragons thing and all that stuff. So dragons were something that I've been drawing for a while. I used to draw them on the tops of my notebooks in school and all that stuff. So this is kind of a really fun adventure going back. A lot of doing this drawing takes me back to doing that kind of stuff. Having people leaning over to see what I was doing. And I didn't really think it was anything special back then. You know, like, oh. But even then, I suppose I was entertaining people. So, it was meant to be. Alright. But see here with me, just in real time, you can kind of start to see how things fall together. I got to start to pick out this nostril here. You know, and I treat this, every bit of detail with this, as I would if this was an animal that existed or somebody's pet that I was trying to draw or something, because it's important that even though the details are yours to make up, that you don't slop through them and, you know, put some time and detail into every inch of what you think your little mythical monster looks like, because every bit of that you do will help bring it to believable life. And I'm hoping that when this drawing is finished, that people, you know, really respond to it. And if they do, yeah, they're going to be responding to the actual dragon tamer, but I think the show stealer in this one is actually going to be the dragon himself. That's the idea of this drawing. So it's certainly not that I didn't want to showcase anybody. That is not the point of this drawing. I honestly felt that, thinking this image through in my head for a long time, knowing how small the female was going to be in the drawing, I didn't think it was a flattering enough showcase to have somebody, you know what I mean? Oh, maybe you don't. But I thought the real showcase in this is going to be the dragon, and that it wasn't worthy of having somebody, hey, this person's going to be in this drawing, and by the way, they're 4 inches tall. Huh? What's that? Okay, I'm just picking out just different areas as I hopscotch through this thing. And that may wind up being what makes this such a fun project, is making up so many of your own rules, going with your gut on it, let it flow, create your monster, see how it goes. It's okay to do a little section and step back and see what's, where you're at, what's happening, how do you like it. I do that all the time because it's important to do. You don't want to lose, even in the crux of doing a drawing show, you don't want to lose the direction that your project is taking. You're the creator, so you've got to have your hands on the pulse of where it's going at all times. And if you're like me and you're doing this artwork by hand, you really put your heart and soul into every little decision that's made. And I hope that's what makes my particular projects special. Is that people might be able to see there's a little extra care and maybe a little extra thought, a little hand-pushed, effort that went into making each inch of every one of these. Even in an area where I'm blocking in one particular color and I'm just filling in an area that's going to be that flat color, I'm paying attention to make sure that every part of that color is smooth. I don't want it to look like I raced through and scribbled through, because I certainly didn't. Every one of these drawings is a little, it becomes a little part of me. And they're very special. And very soon we're going to have a stable market shop where you can pick up some of your favorite prints, or if you were looking for stickers or t-shirts or something, we're going to have some stuff for you. That is coming up so soon. I know I shouldn't be talking too much about it, but the excitement is building as all the steps, and there's so many preparation steps involved in that, but the steps are starting to all fall into place. Things are rocking and rolling, and I'm so excited that I'm talking about it prematurely. So what's that tell you? So yeah, you're gonna be able to get some Tommy Bell merch, some of these drawings on all kinds of different things, and you can have them. And I want you to, because that's the whole point of this. It's part of this fantastic journey is seeing how people respond to the different imagery that I'm able to bring to the table. And there's nothing that makes me happier than being able to see somebody thrilling over something that I did. That's the greatest report card you can get. Alright, before I start getting too sappy, we're in Dragonland. Damn it. Alright. So, you see in just a few blabbering minutes how you start to bring things to life as best you can. And I'm doing this super light. There's a huge difference between tackling certain areas super light and super dark on this. And we've talked about this before. On this darkest color that you're using, it becomes very difficult to change your mind once you put it down there. So this is the step that means the most as far as getting it right. The other steps, you will be blending things into the reality that you've created here. I didn't want to forget that gum line. Yeah. Just back and forth, working it. The way that it looks right, I guess. And I'm going to continue to work this head back and forth. Just get colors right and Shadows right. You know, and you can do. Let me show you something. Because like as it continues to evolve. Hold on one second. Let me show you something neat. So you can. Here we go. Pencil time. I don't normally have a pencil. I've added a few horns, and you can do that again. Let me show you. Where's a good place? I'm going to add a horn here. I just pulled it a little bit closer so you could see a little bit better what I was doing. Alrighty. Just keep working with that same darkest red and defining some of these areas. These are like, these are not like horns, but like extreme scales or something that this animal has as a probably more of a show than an actual defense weapon, would be my guess. Of course, I don't know. However, it's fun to imagine. And see, these areas I'm just working out. I start here by the line, and I kind of start kind of dark, and then I blend out to almost nothing. There we go. Now, as I said before, and I've said in other shows in the past, these drawings take a bit of time to do. And I'm not just on the drawing table all the time, so this drawing is going to jump back and forth in its progress, I'm sure, as I work on it. And then not every bit of work is going to be done in front of the camera. But I'll do my best to show you how things progress with this particular drawing. Again, Dragon Tamer, this idea is one that I've had in my pocket for a while. And it's just kind of waiting for the right time to do it. And it seemed like the timing was right. So here it is. Coming to life as best as I can bring it to you. And we'll see how this goes. Right? I mean, isn't that the whole point of art? Each drawing is an adventure. And it should be. I never know, in the end, where these, how these things are going to look. I don't know. But that's part of the adventure. You got to see. You got to take that risk and go on that adventure, see where it goes. I look at my drawings very much that way. I have an idea in my head. I know it's going to be a struggle to get it on paper so that I can show other people what I'm dreaming about. But in the end, it's worth it. It's always worth it. Even if it's just for you. So don't lose sight of that. You don't have to have followers and all this other fancy stuff. If it makes you happy, that's it. Alright. Again, just in my head, just trying to imagine how all these shadows fall to accentuate these different parts of this mean looking dragon. Alrighty. Do this all day and night, and I probably will at some point in time, and we'll see what happens next. Part of the adventure, people. Okay, folks, so I can have too much fun almost with just the darkest red. And the whole idea of coloring this in is to go darkest to lightest, and I've got several different colors I want to use on this dragon head here. So I'm going to pull back up, and we're going to start going into some of the lighter colors so that I can show you how I do the highlighting while I work my way through the mid-ranges up to the highlights. And I know it seems like I'm on fire at the moment, but this is really fun for me. So come on in, let's not lose a second of this. I want to show you what I'm doing as I go to my next color. Alright, gang. So here we are, just noodling around, and I'm going to go and take my next red, which this is a carmine red, and I'm going to start obviously right over top of my darkest color, and I'm blending out just a little bit. I don't want an awful lot of this color to show, but I do need to taper the edge of that color line. Again, I'm not looking for a hard line because I'm going to come in with an orange. It's like a tangerine orange, and take care of the highlights. But this is what the mid-range is. So I suppose when you're working when you're working shadow to highlight, I suppose this color here would be the basic skin tone of this dragon, if you wanted to analyze it that way. I honestly don't. I just kind of keep going. I just do what feels right. See up here, I'm going over top of that whole thing with that super darker red, but it's going to be there, and I'm just kind of doing like that. And the lightest touch as you're shading down, and don't be in a big hurry to do this. And the more you relax into it, actually, the faster you'll find it goes. And I'm always using these little teeny tiny circular motions, unless I say otherwise, which is usually when I'm blocking in like a real solid color in a background or something like that, or if I'm going along the edge of something like this, like I might have to go like that, just to keep this super clean. And I don't want to bring this red out too far, because I do want a lot of the top of his head to be lighter. I want it to be in this highlight color, so you want to be a little bit stingy with the red on the top of his head here. It's almost more of a barrier between your super dark red that we put down and the orange color that we're going to be adding. So some of this is just for barrier purposes only. So you don't want to go hog wild with it. If that makes any sense, and I doubt anything that I say in this show will. So now you're seeing how I'm getting the mid-range in, and what's going to be left is the highlight colors, which will be a combination of oranges and in the super light spots. Instead of using like a white for a highlight, I'm going to use a yellow, and that'll help keep a certain color consistency within this dragon. And I know it seems a little cliche almost that he's a red dragon. You know, everybody I think almost always thinks of red dragons, and there's so many other colors to pick from when you're illustrating dragons. I just, for the color scheme that I planned for this picture, I felt that red was going to stand out the best, and you will see why. There's a method to my madness, because I do have to, you know, when I'm doing a drawing before I start and I kind of start mapping it out, I'm also mapping out what color is everything going to be, because you've got to have contrast in your work. That's what makes your image pop. So you could draw almost anything, and it's the way it's illustrated and the way you make it come across to the viewer. Like I said earlier, I may not have a lot of dragon type fans out there, people that give two craps about dragons, you know, but I do. And so, you know, but they may look at this drawing and go, oh, well, that's really kind of cool though. Like, I don't like dragons, but that one is cool, you know. And maybe that'll happen. I'm always obviously aiming to please an audience, and this is not that this is not meant to please somebody out there, but in a very selfish way, this is a drawing that I really wanted to do for me. This is a me kind of drawing, and I'm just happy I'm working on it and seeing how it falls together. I hope it's entertaining for you guys. I really do. I never know how this drawing show's coming across, so leave comments, hit me up, let me know what you think of this. It's certainly not a Bob Ross happy painting kind of show where he can kick something together in 30 minutes start to finish uninterrupted. You know, these take a long time to do. There's going to be interruptions. I gotta go do many other things besides drawing in the course of any given day. So, you know, these are always kind of done in patchwork. I'd love to be able to sit down and just do one start to finish, you know, but even then, my God, the way I do these, I'd have to have food brought to me all the time. And when I came out of the cave, it might not be a good thing. So maybe it's good that I got to do these things in patches like this. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Gives you time to study your drawing and kind of mentally come up for air and look at it and see how things are going, and especially in a drawing like this where it's literally I got no photographic reference other than what's in my mind, what I want to see, and we'll see how close I get. So, you know, normally I'm working from a reference photo, and the shadows and the colors and everything is there, and in a large way that's kind of a nice little cheat sheet to have. You've got this image that's locked in time that never moves. And in this case, it's all your imagination feeding what's right and what should be. And truth be told, there may wind up being shadows on this drawing that shouldn't be there, or something that's incorrect, but in fantasy land, when it's coming from the imagination, I think it's alright. You put your highlights where you want your highlights. You put your shadows where you want your shadows. It's up to you. Because you are the creator at that moment. You are the one getting your message across. Art comes in so many different styles and formats, and people have so many different ways to get their creativity, their emotions, their all that stuff. They, you know, I guess that's what's so great about art is, you know, in a weird way, it almost can't be taught, because you're using your innermost emotions. You're tied to each drawing that you do, and so emotions come out in people differently, just like artwork comes out in people differently. I've got a ton of artistic friends on social media, and that do all kinds of different styles and different things, and some of them in the variety of tools and media that they use is just a lot different than what I'm doing, and it's all over the place, but that's what's so cool about it. They're using the tools that are in their comfort zone. They're learning things to express their ideas the way they want to. What can be better than that? You know? So, all right, that's my soapbox on that. I'm done with that. I think it's great. I love seeing creative people in any avenue stretching themselves to that limit, with no fear. Pushing creative boundaries is what I really mean to say. And there are some people out there that just really have that. And I admire those people. I've worked with several. Some of the ladies I've showcased in other drawings are some of the most talented and creative people. Okay, gang. At this stage, I want to pull you in close again, and we're going to go in with the orange and the yellow, and we're going to finish off this face. I know I'm kind of doing this in stages, but I just want to show you, for show purposes, I want to show you the face and how it's coming together. So, let's get to it. Alright, so what I've done here is I've gone over my darkest red with this medium red. It's actually called carmine red. And now the highlights are starting to show through. And so what I need to do next is go in with an orange and start having some fun with, and again, I'm not filling everything in with this orange, okay? Because I want to leave some spots that are like extreme highlights, and those are going to be yellow. And I want a lot of yellow on this top portion here. So I'm just going to make sure that as I'm filling this in, that I'm leaving some spots for what I want. And I'm thinking this lid can actually stay orange, a little bit darker. So you just gotta use your imagination and start thinking about where those super highlight colors are gonna be. And so, just like I did with the medium red, I'm kind of going over top of all those colors and leaving a taper point. Trying to. Some of these lines will be a little bit, some of these edges will be a little bit on the rough side. And that's alright too, because it will, in the end, you'll see that it adds a little bit of dynamics sometimes. I just don't want to do that throughout the entire picture. And I want this, because I do want this top portion to have a lot of really wonderful yellow highlights in it. It's just a matter of mapping out where those are going to fall. And I want everything to be seen. All the different colors that I'm putting together, I want you to be able to notice, because I think when the eye sees all those colors together, that's the wow factor. So that's what I'm aiming for here. Of course, I think I do that with every drawing. Always looking for that whoa, you know. Always trying to create that masterpiece. And I think any true artist is. But so, later on I will work down the neck and on the horns of our dragon friend here. And all that, work on the teeth some. But the purpose of this show is kind of just to give you an inside peek on how I do the facial coloring on this creature. Because it is different. I mean, this is a totally different than what a lot of my drawings, if you look at my portfolio, you know this, a lot of my drawings are not showcasing a mythical creature first. They're usually showcasing a model or a female athlete or somebody, and they're the larger part of the drawing. And this time, that's not the case. But it's allowed me some artistic freedoms doing this piece, and I really wanted to get this drawing off my artistic chest. You know, that it's one of those drawings that, oh, I really want to do this, and when's the timing going to be right if you're not showcasing somebody, because I really kind of have made it part of my repertoire that if I'm doing a drawing, I'm showcasing somebody and it's a spotlight for them and all that, which is wonderful. Never thought I'd really trip into, you know, doing that as much as I am and being known for it like I am, which is wonderful. I certainly get a huge joy out of doing that. So this one, in a lot of ways, is just for fun. Hopefully, people like it. Hopefully it shows an artistic side of me that maybe they weren't aware that I did. And then that's really fun. Now I'm starting to fill in some of these areas here in a solid orange because I don't want them to be uber highlighted. They're kind of recessed in the background and they get a little bit more shadow. And then others stick out more and they're going to have more yellow to them. Like that one. Down here it's the same principle. We just start, well, you know what, you know me, I jump around a lot. And I just noticed up here, I want to tackle this area. Alright. So you can really start to see what I'm aiming for here. Not everything is going to be ultra highlighted, because then that would steal that effect from those areas where you've gone that extra mile and thrown in something. You know, you've gone that extra highlight color and gone to that yellow extreme. You don't want to do that every time. You really don't. Every little artistic trick like that, like highlights and stuff, you never want to overkill those. So when you use them, you know, in the right moment, and then they'll have that context that they're supposed to. See, even I'm going through and going, okay, I'll fill that in, I'll fill this in, da-da-da. That's okay. Composing while you work, that's the artist way.
It's just a laid-back vibe, baby. Straight up. 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 It ain't nothing but a laid-back vibe. vibe. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It ain't nothing but a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It ain't nothing but a laid back vibe.
I'll tell you what, through the miracle of editing, I've got a face finished and I'm starting to work on the neck, so I'm going to pull you guys back up here to see exactly what I'm doing. But I gotta confess, this is one of the most fun drawings that I've done in a long time, and I'll tell you why. This is the kind of stuff that I would do. It takes me back to junior high school or even high school, sitting in study hall in the 80s, you know, breezing through every single class with a solid D plus, you know, and spending all of my time drawing dragons and monsters and things like that. Like, that's where it started. So it's nice to go back to the origins of what I used to do. But come on back up here so I can show you what I'm doing with some details. Obviously, I'm working down the neck area here and all that kind of stuff. I want to continue this color scheme on down through. So come on up here. We're going to wrap the show up. I'm just going to show you because I'm not going to have the whole drawing done by the time the show is over. We don't have that much time. So come on up here and I'll just show you a few more quick things. Alright gang, I have pulled back a little bit on this one, but still brought you up close to show you what I'm doing here. This is how we're going to start. I always work again, dark to light. Now this horn here is going to cast a shadow on this whole area. So we need to start blocking that in. And starting to think about the shadows on the neck as a whole, this whole big piece, and the individual scales and things. These things here are going to create ridges that we gotta also deal with. But for right at the second, we're just going to put in a basic shadow. And this is one of those only times where I, instead of using a circle like here, when I'm up against this black line, that's the only time I'm going back and forth when I color. See? It creates enough boundary for me to then blend out with. That's how it's done. And super light touch down here. Super, super light. Alright. And that's because you got to have that stationary shadow in there to show some definition where the horn, you know, is casting that shadow on the neck. And just kind of keep an eye on things here for a minute while I block in some of this dark color, and then we're going to go in and play with the reds and oranges and stuff. This is a super dark red. It's a raspberry. It's what the name of the pencil is. So it's a super dark plum red. Just what I'm looking for.
It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It ain't nothing but a laid back vibe.
Just a little bit closer here for you so you can see what's going on. And I'm still on the raspberry color. But you can see how it's starting to fall together. Just a lot of working dark to light. So I'm going to continue on with this project, but this is about it for this episode. Try to show you something, at least kinda see what happens. But I want to thank you all for watching. This is definitely a different show. But I thought I might show you how I'm coming up with some of this stuff. So, I thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And there you go. I can show you what I do here, like where this, and it's just a matter of blending, blending, blending. Lots of that. Alright. Okay, I promised I wasn't going to take up too much more of your time, and by the time you see this show, you will have already seen the finished product. Alright. Okay, gang. I have hopped in and done a little bit of blue sky on Dragon Tamer, which is nice calm sky, which kind of helps keep the focal point on the interaction between Beauty and Beast, which is what I want in this drawing. Alright, you know what's happening here. We're wrapping the show up. I want to thank you very much for coming into the art table, keeping me company for a little bit. I hope this has been entertaining, kind of showing you a little bit of the development stages. This is all going to be old news by the time you see this, because I already posted the... Pretty soon you'll be seeing the final, and then after that you'll be seeing this show. So this is the show always kind of happens after the actual release of the drawing. What can I tell you? But thank you very much for hanging in, watching the show. I really appreciate you. Tune in next time for another episode of Tommy Bell Art's Sketchy and Funny.
Thank you for watching another edition of Tommy Bell Sketchy and Funny. To follow Tommy Bell on all forms of social media, check him out at Tommy Bell Art on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It's just a laid back vibe, baby. Straight up. It ain't nothing but a laid back vibe. Nothing but a laid back vibe. Nothing but